Can you imagine meeting a UFO on a normal working day? November 14, 2004. We are talking about Lieutenant Alex Dietrich, who was pushed into her cockpit seat by the speed of her supersonic fighter jet as it was taking off from one of the largest aircraft carriers in the world, the USS Nimitz. Suddenly, from one instant to the next, her mind empties and her arms begin to weigh down from the exponential increase in G-forces, thus pulling away from her flight deck to begin a day of training like any other. Just after leaving the deck of the aircraft carrier Nimitz, she visualized a strangely elongated object levitating over the waters of the Atlantic Sea. Everything seemed confusing, strange. Could it have been the velocities or the reflections of the light? From one moment to the next, the strange object moved at a speed of 500 knots over the waves. To their surprise, when they checked the radars, it could not be detected, and they only had the opportunity to shout it out and report it on the radio. An object that went so fast that not even their minds could process it, an object that did not disappear but remained during the night and during the day. Are these objects perhaps watching us and examining us closely? Mankind has always looked to the skies for meaning, but as our yearning for knowledge has reached farther into the depths of space, the search becomes for the answer to the question, are we alone? If you seek the truth, like, subscribe, click the bell icon. Join us. This is what the world needs. This is disclosure. The possibility of the existence of extraterrestrial life and civilizations, and at the same time of being able to make contact with them, is something that has driven not only the imagination, but thousands of scientific studies that seek if such a possibility can be true. As a species, for millennia, we have been searching for ways to answer those existential questions that have always haunted us and allowed us to go further than we ever dreamed possible. Today, our knowledge of the cosmos has advanced and evolved in an unparalleled way, thanks to space probes that have visited virtually every planet in our solar system, including each of its satellites. Thanks to these probes and telescopes such as Hubble, the progress of images obtained from space have improved with unimaginable precision. Indeed, mankind has been trying to send and detect signals from alien civilizations for more than 30 years, yet none of these attempts have been successful. Is this because there are no advanced life or civilizations? Or is it possible that they do not yet want to make contact with us? In the meantime, extraterrestrial sightings and evidence are increasing, and we can only wonder when first contact will happen. This is the case of our Atlantic Ocean, a place where since 1967, inexplicable phenomena have been witnessed that have filled these waters with a deep mystery. From strange lights in the skies to objects traveling at inhuman speeds. Between 2014 and 2015, experienced U.S. Navy pilots experienced experiences filled with fear, anguish, and despair during their training for UFO encounters. While each of these pilots were undergoing routine training, radar and advanced cameras on their aircraft detected strange objects traveling at supersonic speeds at altitudes exceeding 9,100 meters. And as if that were not enough, these objects reached these astonishing speeds without any visible means of propulsion. These pilots were able to witness what would be the unparalleled anguish of not knowing what to do with what they were observing. While this was happening, observing seemed to be the best option, and despite this fortuitous event, none of the pilots declared or thought that the UFO sighting was an extraterrestrial invasion. In total, there were 6 pilots who were stationed on the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt between 2014 and 2015. Each of them, without exception, mentioned having experienced UFO sightings throughout each of their flights along the southeast coast of the United States. These UFOs that were caught on the pilots' cameras were later dubbed as Go Fast and Gimbal, respectively. One was a white blob, while the other, even larger one, was a dark blob. And you may wonder, just a blob? Well, yes, these strange objects had no wings, no tails, and no escapes. They apparently carried themselves with no visible energy. According to one of the lieutenants, these objects were actively moving around each of them. The only tool they could rely on and use were their radars, which sighted each UFO multiple times. All the radars were reading the same thing, and that, to the pilots, solidified all evidence. There was something out there that they could not explain. As the sightings increased, so did the government's concern and anguish. The pilots, between each of their doubts, didn't know what to think. Many thought these unidentified objects might belong to a highly classified drone program using unknown technology, while others thought that there was simply no explanation for what they had seen. After being chased and watched for months, the only thing left to worry about was what they had seen. Should there be any concern for the nation's security? In 2015, in the wake of this spate of UFO sightings, the U.S. Navy issued special orders for rigorous investigation of each of these strange objects. And yes, both as Navy pilots and other military personnel, they have decades of watching each of these enigmatic objects. Various groups have reviewed the more than 144 sightings that have surfaced by government personnel that occurred between 2004 and 2021. No, the Pentagon does not know what they are, where they are, much less what they mean. The truth is that although there is no official evidence that these objects have been sent by extraterrestrials, the latest official reports issued in 2021 confirm that they still do not identify what these unidentified objects are. In the wake of each of these events, the intelligence community stopped using the term UFO. The new moniker is Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAP, a name change that tells us the government is taking matters into its own hands. In 2017, without much ado, the Pentagon took it upon itself to carry out the formation of the UAP Task Force, charged with investigating every occurrence that possessed no explanation. However, the Department of Defense denied that the program existed until 2 years ago in 2020. The UAP Task Force investigations considered many conventional explanations for many of the sightings, from atmospheric phenomena to defects in radar systems. However, despite this, the researchers reported that they currently lacked the information to draw any conclusions regarding the strange occurrences. One of the most important scientific facts is that drone technology in 2004 and even in 2015 was not as evolved as it is today, and even the most secretive and experimental craft of today would not have the capability to perform some of the feats of the UAPs. During one of the 2004 incidents, for example, the unidentified object accelerated so fast that even the pilot's eyes could not follow it. These testimonies are supported by the radars of the USS Princeton, who observed exactly what the pilots had seen. The information from the radars on military ships and fighter planes should provide the most reliable data on what was truly in the air at those crucial moments, but the great mystery only extends and deepens as each piece of data is considered as if it were a labyrinth. In 2015, during the Gimbal sighting, Navy pilots commented that radar had detected a whole fleet of objects traveling at incredible speeds, seeming to merge, disappear, and perform impossible aerial feats. Undoubtedly, these pilots experienced high tensions and anguish as they witnessed and observed each of these unexplained objects. Uncertainty grows and only allows us to create and consider the most disturbing theories and possibilities. Theories and possibilities that make us doubt our solitude in the cosmos. Little by little, everything has been transformed into a mystery that has endured over time. 2 years ago, the world came to a standstill when the Pentagon initially confirmed that the leaked UAP incidents were encounters with unidentified objects. Such news turned pilots into the world's most sought-after UFO experiencers. Despite such statements and reports, the ambiguity will do little to satisfy ufologists or anyone else seeking explanations. The amount of high-quality information that would allow conclusions to be drawn is scarce, so at the end of it all, only doubts and the accompanying recordings of this incredible true story remain. There are at least 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. In short, 2 million places like the Milky Way, that place where we as a species evolved and live. Each one in addition with its millions and millions of planets. It is here where the great doubt is born, since it is very difficult to think we are alone. Most likely, there is intelligent life out there, in some corner of the immensity. We have the possibilities, the evidence, the sightings, but we still do not have the absolute truth that we long for and seek so much. Will we as a species ever reach that point? And when we have it, what will we do with it? At this point, it doesn't matter whether the sightings occurred in London, in the Atlantic, or in Antarctica. Whether by land or by sea, our search for this truth will take us to the far reaches of this universe and to the depths of our minds. At this point, the most important thing will be what to do with this great, mysterious, and enigmatic truth.